won't stay. Hello. I'm sort of turning this into a tea with Brie because I just so happen to be having tea in one of my new tea glasses that my dad gave me, or teacups. Okay, it says Amy joined. Vidya Healing Arts has joined. So how do I add her? I'm trying to add her. Vidya Healing Arts joined. So today, Amy and I are going to be talking about intuition and developing habits of self-awareness, which can be very difficult to do. Well, at least in my experience, it's been difficult to do just because, you know, we have so many thoughts like run our lives. So it's being able to decipher between the noise, and thank you for the heart, Mona. I heart you back. Decipher between the noise and what is really, you know, like a deeper inner knowing. And so, yeah, I'm trying to see how I add Amy. Oh no, will you invite me again? Okay, of course, because you're the special guest. Okay, I tried to invite Amy again. Amy!
Hi.
Yay!
Hi, sorry about that.
No, that's okay. The camera, if you, put it there. Now I can see you.
Hi.
Hi. I don't know exactly who I was talking to. I think Mona is still with us. Lindsay was on for a second. I don't know if she still is.
Aw.
Lindsay Crin. And my friend Marcus was on, but I think he ditched. Oh, Lindsay gave us a heart.
Oh, bless.
Bless.
I miss her.
Oh, Catherine's here. Hi, Catherine, darling. Oh, Lindsay's like, woo, yeah, working it. I'm so happy to do this with you. This is so fun for me. That's why I was calling. I'm like, are you ready? Are you ready to do it?
No, seriously.
Amy, happy birthday, belated birthday.
Thank you.
You're looking beautiful.
Oh, so are you. Your
thank
lighting's
you.
perfect too.
My light, well, I have my ring light in the back because it's really dark in here today because it's like really raining outside.
Oh.
Hi, Catherine. Yes, Catherine, you know it's raining because you're in Houston too. Yeah, so how are you?
I'm good. Yeah. I had my first post-vaccination outing yesterday, so that was really big, and yeah.
I know.
Just public spaces. So
you know, it's really interesting after being in kind of living isolation for so long, and then you start kind of creeping out, and it's like you're looking side to side questioning, is this okay?
So much. It's so much. My nervous system is like not ready for it yet.
I know, because it's a whole like recalibration.
Truly. Yeah. It's like a whole new way of seeing humans and their mouths again, you know.
And their mouths. Well, you know what? Look at my Queenie is back here.
Oh, so green.
I don't know. Catherine knows Queenie. Well, no, she doesn't know Queenie, but I've told her she knows that I have a cat. Anyways, I'm having some tea.
That's wonderful. I'm still on my coffee, so.
Oh, lovely. And I have another guest that's wanting to join.
Oh, hi, cute.
Say hi, Paisley.
Hi, Paisley.
Can you
How
say
are
hi?
you?
Her tongue keeps getting longer and longer.
She's so sweet. I love how the queen is just hanging out back here.
Yes, can you show yourself, Queen? Hello.
Hi, Queen.
Oh, yes. See, Catherine says, hi, Miss Queenie, and I love your teacup. Thank you, Catherine. So this actually was a perfect topic for me today because I've kind of been, I always am thinking, really, once we decided to talk about intuition and self-awareness, I really was thinking about like deciphering the noise and the crap from like a higher level of wisdom. And so the thing that I ended up like instantly turning to Several years ago when I was just like in a really, really heady space. So I had read, okay, to preface this, I'm a really big fan of Eckhart Tolle, which I think a lot of people are, but instead of his regular size book, I ended up buying this book, which is Practicing the Power of Now.
Oh, wow.
And it's a much more condensed version, but it has so many great passages about getting into the present moment, which for me is one of the most helpful things for accessing self-awareness and intuition. So I was just wondering if I could read like a couple things. And then that can be like our springboard to talk about whatever that we want. I don't know do you want to lead an exercise today? Ooh.
I'd be happy to. I'd love to just listen to Eckhart Tolle too. Totally.
I'm going to read us the whole book right now. No.
Good.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, so I'm gonna try to not read too much of it, but this first quote I thought was very profound. So everybody who's here, we're talking about intuition, self-awareness, and Amy might talk with us about lunar cycles and how we can use that, because it's new for me. Lunar cycles is kind of a new thing for me, but I think it's really helpful.
Yeah, totally.
I can't wait. Okay. Yeah. So Eckhart says, when your consciousness is directed outward, mind and world arise. When it is directed inward, it realizes its own source and returns home to the unmanifested. I mean, that quote to me, it was just like, boing, in my brain. I just thought it was really, really profound. And then he goes on to say, being is not only beyond, but also deep within. Every form of its innermost invisible and indestructible essence. This means that it is accessible to you as your own deepest self, your true nature. But don't seek to grasp it with your mind. Don't try to understand it. You can only know it when the mind is still, when you are present, when your attention is fully and intensely in the now. Being can be felt, but it can never be understood mentally, which I think that is so profound, because we always want to think about everything and analyze everything. But sometimes self-awareness and intuition is best presented through stillness.
Totally.
It really is. So then just a quick couple other things. To regain awareness of being and to abide in that state of feeling realization is enlightenment. The word enlightenment conjures up the idea of some superhuman accomplishment, and the ego likes to keep it that way. But it is simply your natural state of felt oneness with being. Then he says, the mind is a superb instrument if used rightly. Used wrongly, however, it becomes very destructive. I recently watched an episode of Jerry Seinfeld with, I think, Tim Ferriss. And Jerry Seinfeld goes on and on talking about the mind and how the mind is stupid. Like, you can train the mind. Yeah. So that's what, habit building and all of that is for. It's the mind says, well, this is what we do every morning. I get up, I go make the coffee, I, go to the bathroom, and the mind is trainable. So if we can not let the mind control us, but if we can harness it to our benefit, I mean, right there, we can access so much wisdom. So then he just says, you begin to realize that there is a vast realm of intelligence beyond thought. That thought is only a tiny aspect of that intelligence. You also realize that all the things that truly matter, beauty, love, creativity, joy, inner peace, arise from beyond the mind. Junior! Hi, Junior! This is like ADD. Aww. Hi, Junior. I'm so glad you're here. This is my piano teacher.
Oh, hi.
And so I love that last sentence because he says, you realize that all things that truly matter, beauty, love, creativity, joy, inner peace, arise from beyond the mind and beyond, like, especially the busy mind.
Yeah.
You know? So I just wanted to share those few tidbits just to get us started on, oh, thank you, Junior. He says, y'all are doing great.
Aww.
Yeah, because Eckhart Tolle just has such a profound teaching. So I just thought to share that because really to access awareness and intuition, I think requires some sense of stillness or some sense of slowing thought, at least, so you can tap into what you're really feeling.
Totally.
What thoughts are you having now, Amy?
No, I have to say, it's like, if you haven't read Eckhart Tolle before, the first time I read him, it was so over my head and so like, this makes no sense to me. And then every time that I've read him since, it makes like a little bit more sense. So like if you are like, it's because I think it's a little heady and overwhelming initially.
Well, you know what's funny? I think I was actually still in high school when I first picked up an Eckhart Tolle book. I think I had gotten the Audible version and I was listening to it and I thought, I can't, no. I thought this, first of all, the way he speaks, he's a lovely person, but he's very monotone.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he must be on some other stage of enlightenment because the expression level is very solid. It's
really.
So I couldn't do his audiobook because I needed like to be engaged and I felt like it wasn't. So I ended up later, probably a couple years later, I ended up just reading the book myself. And that's when it felt a little better to me.
Yeah, totally. And Jonathan just joined.
Hi, Jonathan. I met you before. I'm trying to wave at Jonathan.
I hope people aren't mortified that we like call them out as soon as they jump on. My God.
They probably are.
Anyway, we're just saying hi.
Okay, we're taking a poll. Are you mortified if I say hi to you? Melody! That's my mom. She doesn't get a choice. Hi, Mom. Thanks for joining, Mom. Amy, our moms are our #1 supporters.
It's really true. Yeah. If we have like 2 people on, it's our moms.
Yeah, that's okay. We're doing. Okay. Oh, Catherine says she loves it. Aww. And Jonathan says, hi, Amy and Brianne.
Aww.
See, we have a community.
Oh my God.
Okay, Amy, what are your thoughts on intuition and self-awareness? And then we can talk about, I was thinking we could talk about like practices that are helpful for us. Because, you know, sometimes I think for some people, it does just feel like lip service. Like, oh, the quote by Eckhart Tolle. And then it's like, okay, but how do I apply that to my life? Exactly. How is this practical for me? So I want to hand the mic to you and tell me what you think about intuition.
No, it just reminds me of like, it's like our thoughts. I mean, there really is like a journey from the head to the heart, I think, or like the head to the body. And like, it's not that our thoughts are always crazy. Like our thoughts are there for good reason. But I think in terms of intuition, it's our thoughts and like our anxious racing mind can like, we can think that's who we are. We can think that's like our identity, you know, like our thoughts are us. And I think it's like ultimately our intuition is like much more quiet. And it's like this inner voice that like, it doesn't come through as loudly as like the fear and the anxiety and like the constant like yapping. At least for me, it doesn't. Maybe other people, their like intuition is much more present. But like for me, it's like in like still small moments that I can hear my intuition and be like, oh yeah, that's it. And it's like so sure, there's no fear, threat, or control around it. It's not like, you know, it doesn't feel scary, it doesn't feel anxious. And so it's like, I think we can so easily trust like the yapping mind and like think that's us or that's what we should be doing. And like, yeah, intuition is like just so much more subtle, but it's like when you hear it, I think you hear it. I know that's very vague, but that's how I think about it.
Actually, when I was writing some notes for today, I had the same thought process about it. That let's see, I typed it down on my iPad. Um, yeah, okay. So how can you trust? Like, what I was trying to think about is like, how can you trust that it's intuition versus just the chatty thoughts? Hi,
Yeah.
Dave. Oh,
I
I
do.
did it again.
It's fine.
Um, so rather than the thoughts like feeling like very muddled or confused or kind of like a chaotic energy or like an anxiousness, like if there's any sense of fear to it, that's not intuition, is kind of my
Yeah.
feeling. Like when I feel like I'm really receiving something intuitive that is like my deeper, truthful place of wisdom, like I feel like there's almost sometimes like a lightness to it or like an expansive quality
Totally.
that just, and sometimes, so for me sometimes it comes when I'm like immersed in an activity or something, if I'm like dancing and listening to music and just saying like I'm open for, you know, the higher truth to come through. What is this? That's why sometimes I think asking open-ended questions, like if I knew what to know about this situation, what would it be?
Yeah.
And then, you know, immersing yourself in something or having a practice like with breathing or getting grounded.
Yeah.
um, if anyone is here today that wasn't here last time, Amy and I actually already did a session on getting grounded and rebalancing. And so you can go watch that because Amy led us through really beautiful breath exercise practice. And there's so many others that you can do also. But getting grounded, I think, is really essential. And I mean, so many things can help you do that. So,
Totally.
and then, wait, I'm trying to go back to my notes here. Did you want to I know you have so much insight, so please
No.
continue.
No, I was just gonna say it's like it's actually like the name Vidya, like Vidya Healing Arts. So Vidya means like clarity. Or like spiritual knowledge or like knowledge of the soul, or like you could even interpret it, I think, as like intuition. And it's like that moment in yoga or in breath work or meditation or asana, whatever, where you have this moment of like the pieces just like click and you like, it's like this like, and it might just be like a split second, but you have this like sense of like yourself and like your intuition.
Yeah.
And avidya, so it's like an A in front of vidya. That's like they describe that as like the layer of like film and conditioning that's like over our minds all the time. So like vidya is when that film kind of like clears and
Yeah.
you can like see clearly. Yeah. So like just talking about practices. So like yoga or like honestly being in nature like super helps me get to this place. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know. Nature is such a huge healing force and something that I really am curious to learn about. Everybody, Amy is a certified yoga teacher, and she actually did a couple yoga sessions where we talked about the moon cycles and the almanac and how people will use the almanac to like plant crops for different seasons and getting in tune with like the earth and the seasons of the earth and when to plant certain things. Like Amy, you can explain more of this because I don't know as much about it, but there is an intuitive nature to all of that. And
Yeah.
so I would love to learn more. I actually was just watching, I think I sent it to you. Laura Brand, Russell Brand's wife, has an Instagram account, and she just did an interview with a woman who writes her own almanac
Oh,
for like intuitive gardening and intuitive planting crops and vegetables, having vegetable fruit gardens, those types of things. So yeah, and with nature there is just so much intuitiveness,
yeah,
and just with the seasons.
totally.
And that's something we've talked about too, like how in winter, like I think I told you recently, like I only feel like I've started to come out of my shell like for this spring and summer like a few weeks ago. And
Yeah.
before I was just like in this total like hibernation mode, and I just let myself
Yeah.
be there because that's what my intuition was telling me was the right thing for me at that time.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the future. I think this is how we're going to live. Like, Yeah, like what
I
you're
hope so.
saying.
Can you talk about, well, I guess first I do want to touch on the lunar cycles, but I guess just like the practices. Yoga is a huge thing for accessing the body and the wisdom of the body, heart and mind and spirit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what led you to getting into yoga? Because I mean, that's a profound thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's actually kind of an intense story, but I was actually living in Baltimore. So probably, my gosh, like 11 or 12 years ago. It was like 2010, 2011 that I got started with it. And was living in Baltimore, had gone through like a pretty traumatic thing, and ended up just like finding Bikram yoga first, which there are lots of thoughts on Bikram yoga. We could go there. But it was, you know, a heated room. I mean, it's like over 100 degrees. It's it's the same 26 poses twice a piece. So it was this really intense way of just getting me back into my body, of just like helping me move from like the racing thoughts down back into my body. And it's what I needed at the time. I don't know if I could even do Bikram yoga again at this point. Like physically, I just don't know that I could do it. But yeah, it was like that was the start, and then it just took me on this journey. And it wasn't like, you know, that wasn't conscious to me at the time that that's why I was doing it, but I just felt led to it. And I think like the more and more I've done it, like the more and more I do hear my intuition through my body. Like just the other day, I was on my mat and like literally doing like a 10-minute practice. Like it's not like I'm doing anything extensive, and was just feeling like a little bit off. And I just started crying during my practice and like in a pose. And it was just so clearing of like, oh, that's what I needed to feel. You know, that like,
yeah. And that's such a good point because the body carries so much. I mean, in psychology with therapists, there's somatic practices, and the body carries all of our stress. So when we're very stressed or in a fearful place, having anxiety, the body's like this.
Exactly.
And so when you can open up the body and relax it, it also helps the mind to relax so you can access, you know, more of your true nature, your more elevated states.
Totally. It like completely brought me back to like equilibrium.
Yeah.
And to the speaking of the present moment, it's like that brought me to the present moment.
And then did you just connect so much with yoga that you decided you wanted to do it as become a teacher?
So I went into yoga teacher training not actually thinking I was going to be a teacher.
Really?
I did the training. No, I had no intentions whatsoever of being a yoga teacher.
I had no idea. I thought you were like, I'm going to try to go this path and this is going to be my thing.
No.
But it comes so naturally for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I just went into this training, and then after I graduated from the training, I just was like, I'll apply to a couple yoga studios, and like one after the other, they just like hired me. And so it was just like, okay, this is like meant to be, I think, for now. So
yeah. I love it. And Amy's yoga classes are so nice. They're the best.
Thank you.
They really are. So in terms of practicing, I guess, well, can you talk about a little bit about like the practice of yoga and how that can help spur on self-awareness?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, there are so many ways. I mean, I think going back to the Eckhart Tolle quote at the beginning, like to me, I interpret that as like we put so much energy outside of ourselves, like externally. You know, we're always like, I mean, for me, it's like people pleasing or just like worrying about things like totally outside of myself.
Or sometimes external markers that we think we have to hit in life. You know?
Yeah. Like following the template, you know, of like, what are we supposed to be doing? And I think for me, yoga just like brings me back to myself. And like, it's like, and I think for women especially, I mean, for men too, but it's like, especially if you have a partner or kids or pets or like, you know, it's like, what kind of me time do you ever get? Some people don't have a single second of like alone time a day. And so like to get on the mat and just like have even like 10 minutes to just like come back to yourself and be like, this is how I'm feeling. I'm like present with me in real time.
Yeah.
It's like the greatest level of self-awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's something too, I think with yoga, like when, especially like with hatha yoga, when you're holding certain poses and you're there for a certain amount of time and you're just so into feeling your body. Like it's all about
Yeah.
feeling your
Yeah.
like for just as an example, like downward dog. You've got the balls of your feet and
Yeah.
maybe your heels can touch the ground if you're that flexible.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And the palms of your hand, you're literally feeling the floor beneath you touch your skin. The pressure that it puts, you know, whatever surface that you're touching, what that texture feels like. So that's one of the things I think about yoga is so great because so much of it is about feeling and the emphasis is on breathing and reconnecting to the body. And that's where the mind can quiet down. So I think
Yeah.
that yoga is so special. I was trying to think, so, so something that my therapist talks to me about is like, raising your vibrational level, which might sound like
Mm.
woo woo to some people, but I really do believe in this. You could just even think of it as like raising your energy level. So like engaging yourself in any sort of activity that is elevating for you. So something that you're passionate about, maybe it could be doing something artistic, painting, playing music, dancing, maybe, I don't know, math for people who are more into, I don't know what people like to do. Just like whatever you like to do.
Yeah.
Something that's not just like, oh, you're watching TV, you know,
Yeah.
something
Totally.
where you're engaging with yourself and having a relationship with yourself. That's why I love Julie. Is it Julia Cameron?
Cameron. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
the Artist's Way. And she talks about taking yourself on an artist date. And I know you recently did that, and I had done that before as well. And it is a special time that you set aside for yourself. Like, what better way to get to know yourself than literally setting up a date with yourself?
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
I love
Like,
that.
who am I? What if I could take myself on a date, where would I want to go? You know?
Exactly.
Because
Totally.
that is part of self-awareness, is knowing things that excite you, things that make you feel elevated in life.
Yeah.
So connecting back to like your pure energy is kind of what I was thinking. So like when you raise your energy, more clarity is able to come through. So that's why a lot of times they say like breathing exercises, which is what my therapist talks about. She does the ABC breathing, which there's all kinds of breathing. And Amy, I know before you talked about the five senses. I think that's great for developing self-awareness.
Yeah.
If maybe you want to mention that and about the five senses, because I think that could be really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's super simple. So it's just five things that you can see around you. So like, and you just name them out loud to yourself. And then four things that you're touching. So like even like your shirt touching your skin or like whatever you're sitting on. And then three things you can hear around you. So you're kind of like just hearing with your senses, using your sense of hearing. And then and then two things you can smell and one thing that you can taste. And you just go through that and it just like puts you back. It works for me every time of just like coming back to my body and like tuning in with the senses. So it's super simple. Yeah.
I know, I love that. And the
Yeah.
concept with the ABC breathing is A is for awareness of becoming aware of yourself and your body, whatever surface may be supporting you. If you're sitting in a chair, feeling your bum being supported by the chair. And then you begin your process of breathing, which in this particular modality, it's 5 counts in, 5 counts out. And then C, which after you've been connecting with your body, the idea is that hopefully you will have stimulated your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the calming part of the body. So it's when we're able to relax and just quiet ourselves down. And then the C in ABC stands for connection. And so it's connecting back to your truer self, which is, maybe in the beginning of the meditation, you were feeling like more in a reactionary state, more in a conditioned place of fear, or like those very chatty thoughts that maybe aren't really intuition. So the C for connection is getting connected to your truer self.
I love
Yeah.
that so much.
Yeah. So I think breathing is always great, a great thing to do. And activities that elevate the energy. Journaling, I think, is a really great thing. Like, you can literally just be writing how you're feeling. Like, say the F word, say whatever you need to say. I effing hate this. This sucks, or what. It's like, because you're in touch with your emotions, and you can know, like, this is how I'm feeling. And yeah, so journaling is great. I think journaling is really helpful.
Agreed. I mean, even just like stream of consciousness journaling, like you just don't stop, you just like, and that, to me, it has the same effect as meditation, actually. It like gets all my thoughts onto paper, so it like clears my mind.
Yeah. And that's sometimes what I think about, like actually doing kind of a meditative activity. I forget what it's called, but like the labyrinth, there's like walking labyrinths that you can walk through, and then you go into the center. My aunt gave me one, but it's like a little one, and you use like a little pen, and it's like trying to go through the maze.
I love that.
But it's distracting the mind.
Totally.
So that you can access like your sense of felt being, which is where the intuition lies.
Yeah. And you like literally arrive at the center of yourself in the last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. I love that so much.
Huzzah.
Seriously. That's so good.
And sometimes I think also, like, I really do believe that laughter is very important because laughter breaks down boundaries. Between, if there, like if there's tension between people or something like that, or even with yourself. Sometimes we get so heady and we're just thinking and analyzing everything. It's like to not take everything so seriously. I think sometimes there you can access a greater level of self-awareness and intuition.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's like laughing yoga, or like, where I've actually never gone to a class, but it's where like the teacher in front just starts like this big belly laugh, and then the entire class, and I think it goes on for like an hour, and it's just like different levels of laughter. But it like, I mean, I just, in terms of like vagal toning and like activating the parasympathetic nervous system, it's supposed to like do wonders. So yeah.
I can't imagine though for a whole hour. I mean, like for the whole hour?
I know. I mean, another thing that comes to mind, just like speaking of raising vibration, is singing, like using your voice, and like whether it's like chanting or I mean, music altogether, I think really like can raise your vibration. But and be like grounding.
Yes.
But
absolutely.
I don't know, just another idea. Yeah.
No, I think singing is, especially because, intuition, a part of that is accessing your true voice. And so singing, I mean, that's really an elevated state.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so then let's talk about the lunar cycles, because I am curious about, accessing your self-awareness and comings and goings of the lunar cycles, and how, intuition can be maybe greater at certain times or less, or tell me, because I don't know that much about this. So you're the full instructor.
No, I love I love talking about lunar cycles so much. Okay, so the way I think about the moon is like as timekeeper. It's like a natural timekeeper, and like, so like for as long as like we've all been alive, every 28 to 29 days, we have a new lunar cycle. So we just started a new lunar cycle back on, I think it was Monday. It was a new moon in Taurus. And so that'll take us for the next like about 4 weeks, 28 to 29 days, to the next lunar cycle. So you have new moon, and then about a week later, the first quarter moon, and then a week later, you've got the full moon. That's like the halfway point, and then last quarter moon, and then you're back to the new moon period. And I just love it as like this time of just feeling connected with nature, as a way of feeling connected with nature, and like aligning yourself to something that's not just like the Gregorian calendar, but something that's like connected to like, I mean, if you think of the moon as like feminine or masculine, but like connecting to earth. And so,
And isn't when there's a new moon, isn't it like new beginnings and
totally.
and
Yeah.
going inward to see what you want to begin anew within yourself?
Exactly. Like it's the darkest time of the year or darkest time of the month because there's no moon out, or there's no moon in the night sky. So it's like you can think of it as like the fertile void where you can like just go inward, kind of like cocoon. Like child's pose is like a really good pose associated with the new moon, where you can just think about like, what do I want for the next 28 to 29 days? Like, what intentions do I want to set? What do I want to do? Yeah, so that's the new moon time.
And then so how does it go after that? So it's the new moon is like setting new intentions, and then what happens with the quarter and
Yeah. Quarter moon is you kind of start tracking like how those intentions are going, and like get a sense of like maybe the intentions just like aren't a good intention for this coming cycle, so maybe you want to change them up a little bit. But it's just a way of like also like holding yourself accountable to what you're doing. And you can also, I mean, going back to the almanac, like a lot of plants are supposed to be planted at the new moon, and then you harvest them on the full moon. So it's like you can think of intentions as like seeds that you're putting in the ground, as like new things that you're wanting to grow. And then full moon is kind of, everyone experiences it differently. Like some energetically, it can be like really electric and like kind of like frazzled a little bit because it's like so much energy in the night sky. I mean, it's like, I talked about this, there's like, it really is true that there are more like accidents and emergency room visits during the full moon time because like the energy can be so heightened.
yeah. Now, is that a less desirable time to access intuition, or can it be even more for some people?
I think it's person dependent. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, some people really believe in channeling the moon. Like, and don't, like, I know this is a little woo woo, but it's like you can go outside and just like connect with the moon. I mean, the full moon's when you would see it as being brighted. And just like journal, free write, like ask the moon what messages it has for you, and like, or like ask the moon to speak through you and just write it out.
Oh, I love that. And like we talked about before, like there are scientific things that happen when there's a full moon. Like how you said the accidents or like robberies or like theft, crime, like it's at the time of the full moon. There was something else. Isn't there some sort of saying that's common about the moon, or oh no, I'm forgetting. Anyways, but there is more chaos around the time of the full moon for sure.
Yeah.
So that could be a time, if anyone does track the cycles of the moon, to kind of make sure that you are tapping into your self-awareness and observing the self. Like, how is my energy doing? I mean, that could be an interesting diary process for someone. Actually, I should probably do this. Like, okay, now it's a new moon. How do I feel? Like, how have I been feeling? You know, of course, there are external things that are going on that influence how we feel, but just specifically tracking it with the moon, like what's going on in my life right now, how am I feeling about it? And then going through quarter moon, and then is it 3/4 moon?
Or like last quarter moon or 3/4.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay, last quarter moon, and then going to the full moon. How do I feel it this time? And then practicing that self-awareness and all of that time, and see, like, does it affect you?
Totally. I mean, you can also notice for women, your menstrual cycle, because it's 28. I get like usually 28.5 days. And so like a lot of, I don't know how true this is, but a lot of people that follow the moon, they think that if you're in like a more introverted time in your life, you start your bleed at the new moon. But if you're in a more extroverted time in your life, you start at the full moon.
Whoa, this is like a whole new thing for me. Okay.
Yeah. It's really
but what if you're on birth control and your flow is determined by what pill you're on?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you're in another ball game, which is good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
No, but that's so interesting.
it's so interesting. Yeah.
It
So
really is.
because a lot of people think of like sun is masculine, moon is feminine. Like ha is sun, the is moon. So like it's a balancing of like
Oh,
masculine and feminine, like sun and moon energies, like yin and yang, or like yang would be masculine, yin is feminine. I mean that's all very gendered, so like take it for what you will if it resonates at all. But
yeah.
yeah, it's just interesting, and it's like I think there's more talk around the moon lately because a lot of people do associate it with like the feminine and like, there's like the rise of the divine feminine and yeah.
Right, right.
So
Yeah. Well, definitely.
anyway,
I mean, there is something to that with the
yeah.
moon and the femininity with the moon and almost a sensuality, I think, also. And I don't know if that has to do with like there being less light and it's almost like romantic lighting. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's even like stuff around like that you would like procreate at the full moon because there was more light in the sky.
Oh,
Because it like,
interesting.
when there wasn't electricity, it's like you had light to like be intimate.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah,
This
and
is
it's
so great.
so much. Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
just think it's really fascinating. And especially with and then aren't there cycles with the almanac with the moon?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And well, yeah, like you said, you planting in the beginning and then harvesting towards the end.
Yeah. I mean, some farmers and gardeners like follow the almanac to like a T in terms of like when they're supposed to plant, when they harvest. Yeah, it's all in there.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's fascinating.
I love it.
Yeah.
Amy, would you be interested to lead I feel like you're so good at leading these little
Oh,
exercises.
yeah.
Would
Yeah.
you be interested to lead like a quick little kind of intuitive self-awareness exercise?
Yeah. Um, so we can do maybe some like just stretches to like get into the body. But then one thing I was going to show is it just like popped into my mind is the VOO technique, VOO. I don't know if
I
I've
don't
talked
know
about
it.
it before, but okay, yeah, we can try that. Okay, so we'll just find a comfortable seat wherever you are. Just bring the hands to the knees and just relax the shoulders down and back. Try to bring the ears right over the shoulders. And maybe just start to notice the breath here. You can close your eyes if you want. And maybe just noticing where the breath is in the body. Inhaling and exhaling out of the nose. And if you can, try to bring the breath down into the lower belly. Maybe all the way even down to the pelvic floor. And just taking 2 or 3 breaths there. Really letting the belly inflate on the inhale and contract on the exhale. And then we'll go ahead and just drop the chin to the chest. So chin comes to the chest, and then we'll just rock the chin side to side, left and right. And just kind of elongating through the back of the neck. Releasing any tension through the spine, through the back of the neck. And then we'll bring the head back to center, and then we'll just bring the right ear over to the right shoulder. Yeah, so just stretching through the side, take a breath there. And then we'll bring the head back to center, and then left ear over to left shoulder. And big breath here. And then we'll bring the head back to center. And then we'll just make some big circles with the nose. So like you're drawing a circle in the sky, big circles. And just try to make it as wide and as smooth as possible. And again, just connecting the head with the body here. Yeah. And then we'll go in the opposite direction. Maybe 2 more circles. Yeah, and then we'll come back to center. And we'll just bring the hands to the heart here. And so the VU exercise is, it sounds a little weird, but just hang with me here. So you just take a big inhale, and then you make the sound VU, V-O-O. So VU. We'll do that 3 times together. Inhale. VU. Times. Big inhale. And on this last one, try to make your voice as deep as you can. Another inhale. Yeah, take another big inhale. Big exhale. Yeah, we'll just bring the hands back down to the knees and open the eyes. Yeah, that's all.
A perfect way to connect back into the body.
Yeah.
And if you followed along with that, I'm sure you noticed the thoughts definitely slow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The VU, it's actually a somatic experiencing technique to try to just like bring the parasympathetic nervous system online. So yeah, it's really
There's
helpful.
something with about like the sound and the vibration of the sound, isn't there, that activates the parasympathetic nervous system?
I think so, yeah. And as you do it, the deeper you go, or the deeper you try to make your voice, I think it's like activating kind of like the root chakra, the sacral chakra, like the lower energy bodies. So
Well,
it's super
also, don't
grounding.
the chakras have like it's like C, D, E, F, G? Is this they each have their own note?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
do that another time.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
But everybody, anybody, you can do that at home. You can listen to this again and do, the exercises for moving your body, getting back into your body, slowing the mind down to access your self-awareness. And also just sometimes I think something that's really helpful. Hi, Sai June. This is my father-in-law.
Aww.
Hi, Sai June. So good to have you here. Something that is helpful for me too is just kind of going into that observer state. So like if you do notice yourself spiraling out of control with thoughts like, oh, I can never do this, like I like it's too difficult, it's not going to be possible, or whatever the thoughts are that kind of have kind of a more negative filter over them. If you can separate yourself from that stream of thought and then just watch, like without judging, like just don't judge it, just watch those thoughts go and say, okay, like I actually am separate from this because I can observe that that is happening. And so knowing that you don't have to identify and you can make a choice, which I think that whole process right there, like the self-awareness it takes to do that is pretty powerful. Like then you can choose from self-awareness. A writing coach that I know actually said recognition is the key to transformation. So anytime you can recognize a pattern or a state of being that isn't working for you, that's keeping you stuck, the first step is recognizing it. That is the self-awareness. So when you can do that, you can make a choice to choose something else.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminds me of Glennon Doyle just had this, I thought it was such a good strategy. Whenever she has racing thoughts, she says, let me differentiate between what is versus what if. So like, so the
Wow.
what if is like the anxiety of like, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And what if we do this? And what if we do that? And instead it's like, well, what is? Like, what is the present moment? Like, you
Yeah.
know, I'm safe in my home. I have food to eat. Like, that's what is.
Yeah.
And like it kind of reminds me of the five senses activity. Like it just like brings you back to like
Yeah.
a
And
state.
also,
Yeah.
I love the Glennon Doyle thing because there's also the whole thing with like with fear and then the acronym false evidence appearing real with fear.
Mm,
So for
yeah.
me, sometimes like if I go into this state, like I don't know what's going to happen, like this could all burn up in flames, whatever the fear-based thoughts are, which oftentimes have to do with loss. Like, oh, I could lose everything. What if I lose this? What if I don't have this in my life anymore? What would it look like? And then just the uncertainty around it.
Yeah.
So, something I learned years ago was just challenging those thoughts. Like, do I
Mm,
know that this is true?
mm,
And
yeah.
is this actually happening? What is actually happening? Do I know this means I won't have money? Do I know this means things won't work out?
Yeah.
Do I know this means that I'm going to become homeless? Like whatever the thoughts are, like the real fears are,
Yeah.
you know, those types of things, challenging those thoughts. Do I know this for sure?
Yeah.
And I think that's a pretty powerful practice of self-awareness itself, is
Totally.
challenging the thoughts. Like, is this a fact? Oh wait,
Totally.
no, maybe it's not a fact. Maybe things will turn out okay,
Yeah. Totally.
because a lot of times they do. And
Absolutely.
so I think having the self-awareness to challenge those fear-based places, I think also can be a really powerful tool, because it does give you your power back to say, wait a minute,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to subscribe to that plan. Like,
Exactly.
no
Exactly.
thanks.
Yeah.
I'm
And
going
it's
to
like
choose something better.
totally. But it's just, it's so human to like go there. And like, I think our default is like the worry and the negative thoughts. And like,
Yeah.
it really is like creating the new like neural pathways to say, like, actually things might turn out amazing. You know, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
totally. I mean, I think it's just a part of our DNA as humans. It's like the fight or flight or whatever it is. And
yeah,
at least for me, I'm sure like I'm prepared to go my whole life, you know, being in that place of like needing to monitor, needing to practice the self-awareness,
yeah,
so that because we are human and things
totally.
in life are very up and down. Sometimes things are scary. We go through hard, difficult times, and we go through times that are easier to get through.
Yeah,
But having the self-awareness, um, and also kind of the flexibility, like I think having like when you get into the space of being able to like observe without judging, or observe without attaching, which is the self-awareness, like I think you really can be able to flow with life more easily.
yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, everybody, if you've been on here, Amy, is there yoga May 30th?
Yes, there is.
Is that,
Yeah,
that's a Sunday, right?
I think so. Yeah, I was trying to think of the date, but yeah, I'll post it on the Vidya page for sure.
Okay, Amy's going to post
Yeah,
about yoga. Please sign up,
yeah,
and it's going to be really, really lovely. I've already
yeah,
signed up. I'm
yeah.
like, yes, please.
No.
um, yeah, Amy is a certified yoga teacher, so please come to her
Mm.
classes. They're so good. And Amy, aren't you a licensed clinical social worker too?
So I don't actually practice social work, but yes, I am a social worker.
But you have the licensure.
Technically, yes.
Yay!
Yeah, yeah, but
That's
yeah, not a
awesome.
therapist. Yeah,
Well, see, that's where you learned all your self-awareness stuff. No.
yeah, I guess exactly. Yeah,
But if anyone has any requests of topics that you'd like us to talk about, please let us know, because we're very flexible, to talk about whatever you'd like to
yeah,
talk about. and come to yoga. It'll be really fun. I'm going to repost this onto my page, and then I'm going to figure out how I can also put this on YouTube.
Yeah, I love that. And can we like plug your meditations too here?
Yeah. So I have been recording meditations, everybody. If you haven't heard them, I would love for you to listen to them. They're on YouTube. My channel is Brianne Janae, which is my handle at Instagram as well. And then I did start selling them. If you go to the link in my bio on Instagram, you can actually download an MP3 version and store it in your iTunes and listen to it anytime you want. I have, let's see, I have a heart meditation so far, like opening the heart, a meditation for rest and rejuvenation that I call a cocoon of love, which I really love that concept. I think it's really nice. Another one is returning to center. So getting grounded, returning to center. The next one was, oh dear. I have two more. I'm like, what are, one is like a stress relief meditation. Oh, I remember. I'm crazy. And the last one that I just did, I really love it. It's grounding yourself in peace. So that was my latest one. And then actually the next one I'm recording is, I'm thinking to call it Wrapping Your Fears in Love. Something that my aunt told me was, you know, whenever you feel fearful, like wrap all your fear in love, like wrap yourself in love. And I think that's actually a good thing for getting in touch with your intuition too, because when you surround everything with love, you can go to a more elevated place.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love that.
So, yay! We did another one. This is our second Instagram live.
So fun.
We're like professionals now.
Practically, yeah.
Yay!
Thanks everybody for joining. So
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I can't wait to see you again soon.
Okay. Have a good Sunday.
You too. Bye.
Bye.